Hello everyone and welcome to this very special presentation entitled AJ Styles, the Living Phenom. Over the next 60 minutes we're going to take a look at one of the most dynamic, one of the most athletically gifted, one of the most mesmerizing athletes in all the world, not just today, but of all time, the phenomenal one, AJ Styles. My name is Joe Dombrowski. Thank you for joining us on this journey for the next hour, as that is obviously not AJ Styles in the ring right now. That's Joey Matthews. He'll be the first opposition for AJ on this particular installment. This matchup takes us back to the early days of AJ's career, the early 2000s. And AJ Styles is about 26 years old or so at the particular point in this matchup. Obviously, his years as a global international star are just beginning with his time and what was then known as TNA Wrestling and Ring of Honor, and certainly his days in WWE are still well ahead of him. But AJ was honing his craft at this point in time and really becoming, in the eyes of many underground and internet fans, the best and most entertaining wrestler in the world at that moment. Let's get the introductions to this matchup. Let's go to our ring announcer, Mr. Bob Artiste, legendary voice, to introduce the combatants.
Ladies and gentlemen, representing Ohio Valley Wrestling, Louisville, Kentucky, weighing tonight at 213 1/4 pounds, hailing from the great state of Virginia, introducing Joey Matthews! And his opponent, from Paintsville, Georgia, weighing tonight at 212 pounds, ladies and gentlemen, the phenomenal AJ Styles!
This crowd in South Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, at what was once upon a time called the ECW Arena, with a very respectful ovation to AJ Styles, even then. These fans are well aware of AJ's reputation, his potential, and it's an interesting time in the careers of both these athletes because, we talk about the time period, it was really a time of transition in professional wrestling. Joey Matthews is familiar with this building because Matthews was a part of ECW during its dying months, and with his tag team partner Christian York, you see an aggressive collar and elbow tie-up in the early going, the ultra-competitive nature of both men shining through. But a lot of people say that York and Joey Matthews would have grown into big stars in that ECW brand had it survived. And meanwhile, at the same time that was happening, AJ Styles, his first brush with national fame in WCW, with his tag team partner Eric Paris, and a lot of people think that if WCW hadn't have folded in early 2001, that AJ would have found a very comfortable home in their cruiserweight division. And both these men are hungry, both these men have something to prove, and both these men feel like maybe they've had a few deserved opportunities taken from them just by circumstance. The Philadelphia crowd is not kind to Joey Matthews, who some may label a pretty boy. Some may, well then, competitive nature flaring up. I was going to finish my point. Matthews is very tough and very rugged when he needs to be. And, you know, we've always seen AJ Styles more often than not have that calm and cool demeanor. He's generally quiet outside the ring, especially at this point in time. He's a family man. He's a man of high moral standing, and for AJ to spit that gum almost kind of Kurt Hennig style in the early going shows you that he means business, shows you he's here to prove a point. Single arm takedown by Matthews, now worked into a top wrist lock. AJ fights out quickly. Back behind Matthews into the hammerlock. Great technical wrestling here, back and forth. AJ was an amateur as a youth in Gainesville, Georgia. And certainly that helped him quite a bit as far as just body control and utilizing his weight. It really helped him transition quite seamlessly into the professional ranks. Of course, AJ started in Georgia, NWA Wildside, Bill Behrens, as Matthews quickly, almost the fetal position around that bottom rope. I think he sensed impending doom as soon as AJ got the advantage on that exchange. A great, fiercely competitive, aggressive match so far between Joey Matthews and AJ Styles. As AJ cinches in the side headlock. Tight and deep. You can see there's no air there. There's no space between AJ's body and Matthews' head as shoulders trapped for one. And this matchup can go either way. And win, lose, or draw, bottom line, you're seeing why these two men are two of the best. I think Matthews is one of the most underrated talents that has come along in the past 20 years. And he's had success, part of the M&M tag team with a man now known as John Morrison. Nice takedown. AJ on top for one, Matthews out quickly. Matthews has also transitioned into the front office as a producer and an administrator in a number of organizations. Certainly he's passed on his knowledge. Matthews has been wrestling since a young teenager. Broke in the Carolinas and kind of in that Matt Hardy, Jeff Hardy, Shannon Moore, Shane Helms type of clique that he ran some of the roads with, that Omega promotion back in the day. Matthews was competing in my hometown of Pittsburgh by the time he was 18. He was out there very early and often. And he's packed on nothing but size and muscle since then, as AJ is back into the side headlock takeover. But let's take note of the fact that AJ dropped down and tripped up Joey Matthews. I believe he may have elevated his body at the perfect point in time. So many times you see those drop downs, and people will ask me, why do they drop down and the opponent jumps over? Well, they're attempting to trip their opponent up. They're attempting to stunt their momentum, throw them off their game. And sometimes you take that half a stutter step, you lose that timing, you lose that plan. And there you see, Matthews tried to reciprocate, and AJ right back down on top. Sometimes just that moment lapse of focus can take you off your game. Your opponent will capitalize. It's the little things in wrestling that oftentimes win or lose you a match. And a lot of times it's the little things that some broadcasters and fans don't even pick up on. But they're there and they matter. And I'm so glad we can spotlight them with two great talents, as Matthews got a break in the corner and Matthews takes a look. And it's still trash talking each other. And Matthews goes downstairs in the midsection. It was legal. AJ was baited in though, under the guise of a competitive test of strength, the Greco-Roman knuckle lock. But it was not to be. Matthews takes AJ down again, and I'm not so sure that Matthews wouldn't have won this test of strength on the up and up. Matthews has impressive, and well, I'm not going to talk about that being impressive or lack thereof. That's up to your own interpretation. But Matthews with impressive upper body development, good shape. This is a reversal by AJ, however, as he rolls through, and now the pressure is on Joey Matthews. Immediate break, and Matthews adjusts into a deep, deep arm drag. Among the best you'll find: Jack Briscoe, Ricky Steamboat, It may sound odd to put Joey Matthews on that list, but in the case of what we've just seen, I do. AJ looking to roll through and alleviate the pressure on that arm that was twisted. Now AJ does much the same to Joey Matthews, who's looking for a rope. And notice Matthews tried, oh, there's a near fall. Shoulders were trapped for 2 in chains. Matthews tried to nip up. AJ saw that coming. AJ immediately drops back down into what? Yes, the side headlock. And Matthews elevates AJ, but AJ takes him back over. AJ knows this is irritating Matthews. It's inside his head. It's causing him pain and pressure outside of his head, literally. Another takedown in the near fall. And AJ will continue to do this. This is a smart strategy. It's working. It's wearing down Matthews mentally and physically. And if it's working, you don't fix it. You don't change it. It's up to Matthews to find a way out. He does. Shots to the short ribs. AJ, sucking air for a moment. Able to land on his feet. Great adjustment. Leapfrog. Drop down. Drop kick connects. It's incredible. AJ Styles combo. It's one of the reasons that people call him the phenom that they do. Once you get sucked in, there's no way out. One of the finest jobs in the business. AJ not satisfied there. Takes flight. AJ Styles, the tope con hilo, connects flush on Joey Matthews. And notice there's no protection out there. That is the hard, unprotected floor of what is now known as the 2300 Arena. AJ rolls Matthews back in. Could this be Styles Clash? He's signaling for it. Styles Clash originated and developed by AJ himself, but Matthews, the double-legged counter. AJ dips up into the Hurricane Rana. Beautifully done. Great rotation of the power slam. And an ear fall. John Finnegan in perfect position. AJ, incredible, thinking on his feet. Check out the hang time on the knee drop. Right around the temple of Matthews. That could be dangerous. That could be match ending. Shoulders down again. And notice Matthews does not let up and does not take his arms and his hands away from his head to protect himself, but he was able to pivot his body to at least break that pinfall attempt. The elbow. Matthews with drawn hold here. Standing side switch. AJ gets the elbow. And Matthews, a drop kick. AJ to the floor. Look out. AJ may have gone with one too many risks. He went to go springboard. Matthews had scouted a drop kick right to the behind of AJ, and that sent him spiraling to the floor. The drop kick didn't do the damage, folks. It was the hard spill to the outside. No padding, no protection. Look out above our cheeks. Matthews just stole a chair of the ring announcer and just drove it into the shoulder blade of AJ Styles. And yes, folks, we're in Philadelphia. The rules are going to be lax. There's going to be some leniency here, whether you want it or not. That's just part of the game going into it. You see legendary fan John Hat Guy Bailey in the front row, a fixture of so many events in Philadelphia through the year. And Matthews has opened this match up a bit, turning into the aggressor. And now he measures AJ from up high. Clothesline connects AJ. May have landed right in the back of his head. And it's Matthews on top, 2 count only. Around this point in time, AJ Styles, the first X Division champion in what was then known as TNA Wrestling. Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champion. Wind up and a drop of the fist by Joey Matthews. Notice the wide stance on the cover. putting all of his body weight and his balance over top of the shoulders of AJ. That makes it difficult for AJ to kick out. And we've seen Matthews frustrated a few times in this match. We've seen him show a bit of a hot head. AJ's trying to fight to his feet. He's done that, but Matthews still on his man. AJ slides up the back, and Matthews caught him back body drop. AJ's trying to find something here. Matthews on top, and notice all over the shoulders. 2 count again. Matthews absolutely all over the shoulders. Both boots raked across the eyes of AJ. Now down into the cover again, and AJ was found a way to slide up the right side of the body out from underneath of Matthews. But Matthews is going high on all these covers. Sometimes you hook a leg to keep a guy from kicking out, but Matthews at this point feels it's best to focus high on the shoulders. Keep those shoulders down at any cost. Apparently Matthews feels that this pressure on the shoulders can counteract that of AJ's leg strength, which is an interesting proposition. Matthews a chancery here, a cravat, a headlock more popularized in the European style. We've talked about how learned and internationally traveled these men are in every style. Hard back elbow by Matthews. There you see him hook the leg and stay on the shoulder. Matthews is trying things here, and not a lot of luster behind that last kick out by AJ Styles. And Matthews wants to try it again, and once again, AJ did not have a lot on that kick out. Matthews senses he's close here, but AJ's finding a way. He's stubborn. AJ can be that pit bull. AJ can be that. The crowd not too happy with Joey Matthews right now, but Matthews is wrestling a smart matchup, and it may not be what these fans want to see because AJ Styles is grounded. Matthews does not give a damn. He's not here to entertain the crowd. He's not here for style points. He's here to win. And in some ways, I respect that mentality. Matthews with a vice grip on that neck. It's crimped right now. It takes a lot of energy to power 210, 215, 20 pounds off of your body. And check out the angle, check out the torque on not just the neck, but the lower back and really the torso of AJ Styles just being bent backwards, the opposite way it's meant to go. It's contorting the phenomenal one. AJ battles free, breaks the grip, yeah, to a vertical base, but ducked the head too quick. Discus lariat, beautifully done. Matthews was going clothesline. AJ Styles one-upped him. And Matthews is out on his feet, but the velocity sent AJ back down, and AJ's in trouble again. Back on the clothesline. Spinning back kick by Styles. Styles is starting to string some offense together, but you can still see AJ's having a very tough time getting to his feet. Hard knife edge. Tells the story. Pele kick connects. AJ got all the Pele kick, but notice Matthews, in some sense, landed on top of Styles. AJ's body driven into the canvas, as is the nature of that Pele style kick, and Matthews is out on his feet for a bit now. Oh, could be Styles clash. AJ signaling. Oh, wait a minute, Matthews, a desperate Joey Matthews is grabbing onto referee Finnegan. And unfortunately, AJ couldn't get the grip on Matthews he needed. Matthews just in desperate fashion, using everything around him he can to survive. Now, oh, Matthews looked like he ducked the head too soon, but nothing doing. AJ springs off. Inverted DDT. AJ calls that combo the phenomenon. Will that be enough? Shoulders down and air fall. And the 2 counts are getting longer and longer for the AJ Styles offense now. suplex attempt. And Matthews comes out the other side. Shot to the kidney. That'll daze anybody. I don't care who you are. Torture rack position. Into a face buster. These fans didn't see that coming. Deep hook in the leg near fall. Joey Matthews came here to make a statement. AJ Styles may be the darling of so many of these fans, but Matthews again looking to prove that he's overlooked, he's underappreciated, and he deserves some props. Series of hard shoulder thrusts in the corner. AJ, Jack Briscoe roll up, but Matthews drops down. Matthews has the rope, and oh, thank God that wasn't it. You'd hate to see a match this great end with Matthews all over the ropes like that. Oh God, what a clothesline. AJ was a sitting duck, and AJ to his feet. AJ Styles almost daring Matthews to hit him with his best shot. AJ up again. Matthews with everything he's got. Third time, no, AJ swings through, shoulders down. Wait a minute. Styles clash. No, Matthews hangs on. Rolls through Hurricane Rana, stacks him up. Joey Matthews beats AJ Styles. What a competitive match. Call an upset if you want, but to me, there's no winners here. Both men gave it their all, and these fans got a match for the ages. Well, set for a matchup that should be an instant classic. This man calls himself the Fallen Angel because he has God's gift to pro wrestling in his eyes. And you look through his resume, his body of work, literally every major promotion in this country. Christopher Daniels has left his mark. He has excelled. Championships everywhere he's gone. A mentor, a leader, a veteran, and someone who really is timeless. He's just as good now as he's ever been. But at this point in time, South Philadelphia, Christopher Daniels was on the ascent. And this was one of the most talked about rivalries in all of pro wrestling for quite a number of years. AJ Styles, a phenomenal one. At this point, I believe about 27 or 28 years of age. Has already or is about to claim his first world championship. And at this point in time, his rivalry with Christopher Daniels is already a number of years old. Newer to the AJ Styles bandwagon, and you have not seen AJ Styles wrestle the Fallen Angel Christopher Daniels in the past, you are in for a real treat. I believe these two had first met one-on-one at an NWA Anniversary Live event, and it built from there. can sense the split support in the crowd. Many AJ fans, many Daniels fans. AJ the flashier of the two, Daniels the more cerebral. Two different styles, but two bodies of work that cannot be contested as far as the success they've had. It's all about the bragging rights. It's all about being the man. AJ Styles, the first X Division champion in TNA Wrestling. Daniels roll-up. It took Daniels until almost 3 years into that title's history to capture his first title reign of the X title. You can see back and forth, and Daniels the closer. Both these men were part of the dying days of WCW. Both AJ went drop kick. That's the sequence. Daniels knew it well. Scouted a hip lock to the floor. AJ and Daniels both looking for some leverage, and Daniels got the elbow up. AJ the heel kick. You see the back and forth nature already of this matchup. AJ Styles the Pescado. Daniels takes an awkward spill to the floor. And no protection, nowhere to shield your fall. Daniels hits the guardrail. AJ charges in but meets the boot of Daniels. You would be hard-pressed to find two athletes that know each other better than AJ Styles and Christopher Daniels. It will be very much a point and counterpoint type of matchup. I expect it to be very, very competitive. And both men nearly counted out John Finnegan. I think it was at 9 before both men realized they had to get back in the ring. That's AJ now on top of the armbar. Daniels' career traces back to early 1990s. I believe originally based in Chicago before relocating to California. And Daniels has always been very sure of himself. And he's always been just, mechanically speaking, one of the all-around best. Technically sound, but he can fly, he can brawl. Very well-rounded. There's really nothing Christopher Daniels can't do if he needs to do it in the heat of the moment. He just set in, takedown. Notice the velocity of that takedown. He knocked himself down for a moment. Back to that deep arm drag and arm bar. AJ is keeping Daniels in his grasp. Daniels in a defensive position and certainly a lot more difficult to catch AJ Styles off guard this way. These men have also been World Tag Team Champions once upon a time in their careers. But at this point in time, really these names were practically synonymous with each other. Based on how many incredible wars they've had in so many promotions, AJ got the drop kick. A few minutes later than he wanted, but AJ snapped it off and back into the arm drag. And notice AJ has positioned his own leg across the neck and chin of Daniels. This restricts Daniels' mobility and his attempts to counter out of the armbar, which he does now with the scissors. Great back and forth wrestling and counter wrestling again. We talked about the little things, how important they are. Even more so when you know your opponent so deeply. You've been in the ring with them for hours and hours over your career. You don't need a big opening to capitalize. It could be the smallest thing. A simple second, and then you see AJ nip out of that scissors and come back with the arm drag and arm bar. Looking to wear away at Christopher Daniels, and certainly much of what Daniels does involves his arm. The way he elevates himself to the top rope to do the best moonsault ever. The positioning he needs to grab you to perform the Angel's Wings. Daniels needs full strength of those arms, and if AJ takes it away, it's advantage phenomenal one. Daniels trying to kick his way free from the grip of Styles. And again, we've talked about the fact that the people, especially at this point in time, recognize AJ as a high flyer, and justifiably so. But you need your fundamentals, you need the ground game, you need that foundation to build upon. And certainly, pure technical wrestling is something both these men have worked very hard on. As Daniels draped the foot across the bottom rope to get a break, and Daniels at this point just wants to get some feeling back into that arm, that blood circulating again. And AJ not going to let it happen. AJ now has a bullseye he's created. He's going to capitalize. Daniels sent for the ride. AJ charges in, but meets Daniels' foot for the second time. And Daniels went to leap off, and AJ was able to slip underneath and use that momentum, caught Daniels in midair, snapped him over that arm drag once more. And you gotta believe this is frustrating Daniels, that every attempt he makes to counter, he finds himself back in the same predicament. Oh, AJ just snaps him down. Fujiwara-style armbar. And again, that's the same arm that's been focused, and I notice as well, as Daniels able to drape the foot across the bottom rope. Again, John Finnegan will request a break. That left shoulder of Christopher Daniels is heavily bandaged. I'm just now noticing this, but Daniels does have a history of shoulder issues, and I think that certainly made it a lot easier for AJ's decision on how to approach this match when he saw those bandages. Unfortunately, sometimes you need them medically, sometimes they're doctor mandated, and you see the aggression and physicality of AJ come through. But I'll tell you what, a lot of times those bandages, they're just a bullseye, and then sometimes they are more harm than good in the course of a match. The slam, high elevation on the knee drop. Daniels in a bad way, 2 count only. What I like about this so far is that if you were going to ask an expert, a pundit, if you will, leading into this matchup, I think they would tell you that it would be Daniels wrestling the type of match that AJ has been. AJ is defeating Daniels at his own game right now, and Daniels looking for yet another rope break, which has seemed to have been Daniels' only salvation for much of this match. And Daniels has his fans here. No doubt about that, but Daniels is struggling right now, and Daniels is not backing away from the ropes. He's using the ropes as solace here to make sure he's away from AJ Styles' grasp. We're going to see a quick takedown, but AJ up into the Hurricane Rana. Seamless motion by the Phenomenal One, and back into the arm drag. Notice once again, now this time, the knee and the leg over top of the face of Daniels, pressing downward. Nowhere to go there if you're in that position. Styles had to relinquish that to get his footing. Keep the pressure on. Daniels, it's got to be the 4th or 5th time Daniels has been in the ropes. It's working in the sense of breaking the holds, but it's not really getting Daniels out of the gate here. Waist lock by AJ, standing side switch Daniels. Attempted the paddle counter roll, and AJ was looking to go springboard. Oh, God. An ugly, ugly landing. And that's the one disadvantage of being so well known for your risk taking. An opponent that knows you well will scout it, and Daniels a shot to the back. And AJ not only just spiraled over the ropes, but I think he landed on the timekeeper's table and the floor, and they got the bell out of the way. Oh, God. A backbreaker across the knee of Daniels, and when Daniels lets go, AJ's spine bounces off that floor in a second land. Man, that is rough. That is rough. sends AJ small of the back into the edge of the ring frame where metal meets wood. Nowhere there that feels good. No padding. Daniels not too inclined to make any friends here in Philadelphia. But Daniels has now opened up the back as a weak point in Styles. Much as Styles had done the left arm of Daniels, you see AJ's back and body blow up upon impact. That hard scoop slam. Second time by Daniels. Daniels now focused, meticulous, relentless. Daniels sees what needs done, and he will break down AJ Styles as long as it takes, and now the knee to the small of the back. Daniels loves to trash talk. He's got that swagger about him. He is very articulate. He is very well dressed. He's got that air of superiority about him. Gut wrench suplex, lands on the back, and 2 count again. Daniels in his wheelhouse right now. He's dictating the pace. He has slowed this match down. It favors him over Styles. Styles loves that rapid fire offense. He loves to switch directions on you, and he loves to have that momentum. Not just momentum in the swing of a match, but certainly a momentum in the terms of a body in motion. Full extension of the leg by Daniels. And this is the last place AJ wants to be, on his back in the corner. Fallen Angel. High elevation on the back body drop. If you look through the history of AJ and Daniels, AJ would have a higher win percentage. There's a count of 2. And you know that bothers Daniels. Daniels is the veteran. Daniels has logged the most miles out of the 2. And you know that sticks in his craw that AJ has found a way to be the better man more often than not. And Daniels looking to find a way, find a formula. Up the score there as Bob Ortiz announces the time. You can feel the impact of these shots. AJ starting to build a little momentum with them. Quickens the pace, but Daniels caught him in a side slam. AJ Styles has always been about creating, 2 count only, creating distance, creating motion. With that comes opportunity for AJ, but Daniels has a number of ways to shut you down.
Come on, Daniels. Let's go, AJ.
Daniels mocking Philadelphia, mocking AJ Styles fans across the world. Suplex, AJ gets the block in. Oh! I think AJ caught Daniels right on that left shoulder with that sharp kick. I think Daniels sensed a bit of desperation that AJ found an opening once more, drives him into the corner. Second time AJ gets the foot up, contrast to earlier. Daniels went back to targeting that back, but AJ creates some space. Spinebuster. AJ Styles dropped hard, but does Daniels have what it takes to capitalize? On top, 2 count. No, AJ slips up that left shoulder. Daniels is favor that ankle. Can't recall any specific incident where damage may have been done courtesy of AJ, but certainly as AJ gets dropped with a back suplex, trying to get to his feet, you can see how dazed and loopy AJ was from that impact. We'll keep an eye on Daniel's ankle as we do all of the other battered and beaten body parts. These two athletes, AJ trying to fight to his feet. He may be going on instinct at this point after that back suplex. He does not have his legs under him, and I think that demonstrates why, and that demonstrates how. Daniels over with that suplex, overhead style. If AJ had his legs under him, I think those shots would have connected more flush, but Daniels shrugged them off and got a near fall. Daniels was able to continue fighting through that barrage of AJ Styles' rights and lefts. And Daniels, I think, senses AJ fading, senses AJ weak, and is going to look to sap every bit of energy he can out of him with this chin lock. AJ looking to fight three, he does. Daniels had no choice but to break that grip. And there you see that resolve, that competitive spirit of AJ, fighting, swinging all the way back to his feet. Daniels the knee, now sends AJ in for the ride. Duck of the, out of the way of the corner, and again, AJ, that high side round kick. Right up around the shoulder at Daniels, the palm strike. AJ was going high risk. Daniels knew it and countered. And where is Daniels going with AJ Styles now? Oh, AJ kicking his legs, fighting, and got the powerbomb. Daniels may have been looking to end this thing. AJ Styles, a desperation powerbomb, and you can see the distance across the ring in which AJ was able to throw the fallen angel. But AJ unable to capitalize, the official with the obligatory count. If we reach 10, it's a double count out. Oh, hard clothesline. AJ puts every pound on his anatomy behind those strikes. Springboard, inverted DDT. AJ connects with the phenomenon. This could be all, but Daniels slides the shoulder up. You heard Bob Ortiz, we are 20 minutes gone, and they are still going at this pace. And that is a vintage AJ Styles move, if I could say so. 2 count only on Daniels. AJ lets his opponent drop out of the suplex, and just when you think you're safe, wham, AJ drops you with the neck breaker. It is physically damaging and psychologically damaging by AJ Styles, and it requires an incredible amount of precision to pull that off. AJ looking to send Daniels back in the ring, but look how Daniels is struggling. Daniels is fighting. If Daniels gets a suplex, this match could be over instantly. The temple, and Daniels spills hard on the floor. Fallen Angel feeling the effects. He was going for broke. Ready to drop AJ. AJ another defensive counter. And Daniels now has cobwebs to shake. One ticket fight! Great. AJ Styles nearly got as much guardrail as he did Daniels. AJ's body mangled in the process, but Daniels didn't come out any better. They call it high risk. Yeah, Daniels suffered, but man, what did AJ take out of himself? AJ just trying to squeeze and clench his hands and fingers and make sure he's got feeling of his body. AJ finally to his feet, but still the worse for wear. You can see just the dirt, the debris. Oh, AJ went to springing with that phenomenal forearm, and Daniels, oh God, not again. Daniels hid behind referee Finnegan. And when AJ tried to regain his balance and reset himself, Daniels came in with that right hand, and AJ landed ribs first on that guardrail that he had already hit awkwardly. And AJ's having a hell of a time breathing right now. Daniels has a couple of ringside chairs, repositioning them to his liking. I have no idea what this means for AJ Styles. I don't think AJ's noticed. AJ's in a considerable amount of pain right now. And for the third time, AJ takes a very uncomfortable tumble into these guardrails. Daniels is positioning AJ closer to these chairs. And, oh, a hard slam. AJ slammed on the steel, but I mean, those chairs are, they're unfolded. They're built to withstand hundreds and hundreds of pounds of pressure. And AJ's spine just bounced off of it. This has got to be it. I don't see a way for AJ Styles to be able to continue comfortably. Suplex was countered. Now from the other side, Daniels, it took a lot out of the shoulder of Daniels to be able to get that suplex off from that side. But the other side, I think AJ was able to block it easier. 2 count only. And Christopher Daniels, we're really seeing the damage to Daniels' shoulder and AJ's back really put itself in the forefront of this match. Daniels the second time the suplex. AJ counters inside cradle for 2. And AJ, as soon as he's up, he goes from 0 to 60. Sunset flip for 2. And Daniels knocks him back down. AJ, glimmer of hope, a sense of urgency and desperation in AJ Styles' body language. Daniels on top again, but can't put him away. AJ, I think, can realize that maybe that light is fading. Those chances of victory are fading, and Daniels now cinching in a Boston Crab. And this will put pressure on the knees, but especially on the lower back. You can see the awkward angle. You can see the torque, the pressure, the bend on the lower back of AJ Styles now. That's Daniels with the wide base, and AJ bridges up to alleviate some of that pain, but Daniels pulls it back to the center of the ring. Single leg crab now. Daniels focusing all of his weight and balance on one side of the body and sitting back deeper and tighter. That's the true advantage of this holding AJ. Against all odds is inching and crawling and tying. Daniels counters again. And now into the submission. Modified bow and arrow, but AJ Styles had gotten to the ropes. And again, just the angle of AJ's back of the entire body. It's almost uncomfortable to watch, but it's Christopher Daniels' systematic dissection of his opposition. And this late in the game, the crowd is still split. What sounds to be down the middle. Some are fans of AJ, more so. Some more so of Daniels, but you gotta respect the effort. Samoan drop stacks him up for 2.
Come on! 2.
You could hear Daniels audibly complaining about the count. And John Finnegan's doing nothing wrong. That's just the resolve of AJ Styles with kick out after kick out. That'll frustrate anybody. I don't care how composed you are. I don't care how good you are. And Daniels is one of the best. AJ is perched in dangerous territory. There's nowhere to land here that feels good. AJ's battling out. And Daniels gets crotched. I'm not sure if AJ intended to do that or not. I don't know that AJ had the energy to drive Daniels all the way down. They have had to compromise, but now both men are battling above this canvas. What in the world? AJ Styles drives Daniels down with the modified Uranagi. This match is gone without a fall is evidence of that as AJ Styles now looking to build some momentum. That side round kick has Daniels standing side switch by the Fallen Angel. AJ reverses. Dropping Daniels on the back of his neck, the side suplex. AJ on top, is this enough? No. What a battle, what a match. What an effort from both these men. It's a shame that one of these men will have to lose. It's AJ. Oh, went for that neck breaker again. Daniels blocked. Daniels had grabbed onto the heel of AJ. AJ, a brain buster. An incredibly physical brain buster. And that'll do it here. AJ's won now. AJ put everything he had into that brain buster. Absolutely drilled Daniels on the top of his head. I'm not even sure if Daniels knows how Daniels kicked out. As we have passed, I believe, the 30-minute threshold, if I heard Bob Ortiz correctly. And AJ jumping clothesline in the corner. These men are sucking wind, but they are showing no surcease, no retreat. Daniels the elbow, springboard. Daniels hits the phenomenon. Daniels hits one of AJ Styles' signature maneuvers. Is this enough? No, AJ gets the left shoulder up. AJ Styles innovated and popularized Daniels the Blue Thunder Bomb. It's a Daniels staple now and a near fall. You gotta wonder, more than a half hour deep, what goes through your mind this late in a contest like this? The physical and mental exhaustion, the levels of strategy you've gone through at this point. Plan A, B, C, D, E, F, G, go down the line. Uranagi. AJ dropped hard, and that's always a setup for one thing. Calling for it. Best moonsault ever, but AJ counter. Daniels had the wherewithal to land on his feet with the German suplex. AJ rolls with it. AJ loves to do a facebuster for their Daniels counters. Daniels looking for the last rights, but AJ counters that. AJ Styles with the Angel's wings. Angel's wings. AJ's gonna beat Daniels with his own boogie roll. Less than half a count away. We have seen both men dig deep enough in their arsenals to pull out the best move of their opponent. And still, not enough for victory. What a match. What a war could this be? Perhaps the only thing left. Styles clash, but Daniels drops to a knee. Turns himself into dead weight. A perfect counter. Both knees drop now. AJ is trying to just beat on Daniels. And Daniels the back body drop. Dropping to the knees created the moments. Daniels needed to regroup. And now, in the last right. God, AJ got drilled. The last right, and Daniels still can't do it. I don't know how AJ Styles kicked. Oh, AJ Styles is busted. I'm not sure if it's his lip or his nose, but AJ Styles is bleeding thanks to the work of Christopher Daniels in this match. And it could be instinct. It could be just a muscle reflex at this point. But AJ found a way to kick out. Daniels, going for a second last right. AJ the discus lariat. And Daniels bounced. I think Daniels was knocked out. AJ's leg is over top of Daniels, but referee Finnegan did not call that a cover. Finnegan wants something more decisive to count, and until then, he'll administer his mandatory 10 count. Both these men, we talked about it at the outset, how they'll leave it all in the ring. Give you everything they've got. No retreat and no surrender. These are two men that want nothing else but to be the best. And this is how you achieve it. Back and forth center ring. AJ caught Daniels, attempted a hurricane. Styles clash Daniels in the ropes. You gotta believe a Styles clash will end this. And kicking away at the spine. Rapid fire. Daniels lost his grip, but drops down on top of AJ. Stacks him up. Daniels at the rope. Daniels steals the win. Daniels finds a way to edge out a victory, but AJ Styles proves why he truly is the living phenom. My name is Joe Dombrowski. Thank you for watching this presentation. We'll see you next time.